There's a new brewery on the block in Williamsburg, and it's filling a void in the male-dominated beer industry.
We are the first exclusively woman-owned production brewery in New York City.
Opening just weeks ago, the brewery doubles as a tap room and a cafe, offering customers both coffee and flights of their specialty beer. Owner Tara Hankinson says she and her co-founder Leanne Darlin first started selling their brews in supermarkets in 2019 before eventually expanding to their location at Richardson Street.
We were both drawn to craft beer and ended up working for the same beer startup because of our passion for beer. We left our corporate jobs behind, and within a couple of months of knowing each other, we decided we wanted to build a brewery together.
But it's not just the owners who are women. A majority of the employees are women as well. Tara says while it's a coincidence, representation in the industry is important. And as she and her co-founder make history reaching this historical achievement, she says she's hoping to be an example to others who wish to break barriers.
When you look around at other breweries across the country, only 2% are run by women. And now that we're here, we hope we can inspire more women to feel like they have representation in beer.
Now, this is the first brewery for Tara and her co-founder, and she says she's hoping to open another tap room here in the city in the future. In Williamsburg, Johnny Caldwell, News 12.
Married mother of 3 says Governor Cuomo kissed her on the cheek 3 times without her consent. She is the 10th woman to publicly accuse Cuomo of inappropriate conduct since the scandal broke last month.
I felt like I was being manhandled.
55-year-old Sherry Ville says the governor grabbed her by her face and gave her unwanted kisses on the cheek while touring flood damage on her property in Greece, New York, back in May of 2017.
His actions were very overly sexual, highly inappropriate, and disrespectful to me and my family.
Ville and her attorney Gloria Allred provided a photo they say is proof. It was taken from a blurry screen grab of a video shot by Ville's son that showed the governor kissing the married mother on the cheek outside her home during the visit.
That's when the governor looked at me, approached me, took my hand, and pulled me to him. He leaned down over me and kissed my cheek.
Ville said the governor continued to come on to her in front of her family.
He wedged his face between the dog and mine and kissed me on the other cheek in what I felt was highly sexual manner. He said, "That's what Italians do, kiss both cheeks." I felt shocked and didn't understand what had just happened.
The allegations make Ville the 10th woman to accuse Cuomo of inappropriate sexual conduct. While Cuomo has apologized for inappropriate remarks, he has strongly denied touching anyone inappropriately. But victims advocate Keith Scott says Governor Cuomo co-wrote the state's sexual harassment policy, so he should know better.
If the person welcomed the kiss, that's one thing, but if it was unwelcomed, that is sexual harassment.
Ville says she remained silent for years because she feared retaliation from Cuomo.
I am still afraid of him, but I am no longer willing to remain silent, and that is why I am coming forward today.
And Virginia, many lawmakers have called on Governor Cuomo to resign amid the allegations. Does Ms. Ville think Cuomo should resign?
Well, Ville says she is going to reserve judgment on whether Governor Cuomo should resign until after the investigation is completed. She also said she has contacted the state attorney general's office to let them know she is willing to cooperate with the investigation.
Easter is on its way.
So let's get baking. We're making a decorative and delicious dessert.
You may know cake diva Charmaine Jones from the Food Network's Easter Basket Challenge.
Today, she's teaching us how to make an edible Easter basket cake.
All right, Charmaine, talk us through this cake.
Instead of having the same old cake all the time, when you cut it, you're going to have different colors in each layer and different flavors to match the color. Therefore, you'll have the best of all worlds.
we like that.
The basket is going to end up looking like this, okay? It takes a little bit of time. Say you're going to put your, like, buttercream hydrangea on, okay? You put a blob.
That looks very advanced.
Down, like that. It's not. It's so not. It's so easy. If you think you can't do it, then you can't do it. Simple as that.
I can do it.
Born. Believe me. You put this on, The only advanced part are the flowers. The flowers take a lot of time. Get little Easter eggs on, your little candy Easter eggs, your little bunny Easter eggs that you made out of chocolate if you want, or you bought. And then you put your handle in the cake. I personally hate surprises, but oh, nice. Ooh, baby.
Ooh, yum. We have Charmaine's complete recipe step by step on our website, news12.com.
Lela Rose lost her brother back in 2005. He was only 15 years old.
He was murdered. Him and his friends, they were walking down the street, and young people came and decided that they were going to use him as a victim for gang initiation.
That's why she teamed up with her mother and they founded the Christopher Rose Community Empowerment Campaign in honor of her brother, a nonprofit focused on preventing youth violence.
Due to the nature of how my brother was murdered, he was a young person, it was street violence, we figured it was necessary to get into schools and begin to talk to young people about what was happening in the community.
The organization also gives out free groceries every other week here in East New York and hosts many other events to connect the community with the support and resources they need. And that's just what Rose does on her free time. During the week, she's the Deputy Public Advocate of Civic and Community Empowerment.
Whether it's through civic empowerment, voter registration, voter education, whether it's providing services or doing a community baby shower for 200 plus women, I do believe that there is space, there's room. In addition to protest and policy, someone has to be on the streets providing this direct service for people.
She also helped create a fund to feed hospital workers during the pandemic and is part of a talk show every Friday, largely for undocumented immigrants.
People are hurting, people need resources, people need help. If I can be that bridge to help people reach those resources that they really need, then that makes all the difference to me, and that's what it's all about.
New York is about to vote on the legalization of recreational marijuana for adults, and this man's anti-drug crusade is gathering steam.
If we look at other states like Colorado and California, the stats are out there. Car crashes are up. More kids are using marijuana, and they shouldn't be doing it because they're under 21.
Veach's 17-year-old son Justin died of a drug overdose in 2008, stemming from an opioid addiction that his father says began with pot. Veach has long battled marijuana legalization. Now he's turning his attention to legislation.
I think they have to monitor what's happening very, very carefully and make sure that the money that comes out of this is going to the right places, because after all, that's one of the reasons that they're drawn to this.
And Hudson Valley residents also have very strong opinions about the marijuana issue and where we should go from here as a community.
I think it's good. We need the tax money for certain. People are going to continue to smoke pot no matter what.
I feel like it's kind of a gateway to everything else, but at the same time, I feel like if you do it responsibly, could be okay.
Meanwhile, Jeffrey Veach says regardless of how state lawmakers vote,
we can decide to opt out. If you don't want dispensaries in your community, you pass a law by the end of the year and you won't be required to have those in your community.
He hopes New Yorkers everywhere will remember that option. In Yorktown Heights, Carol Wilkinson, News 12.
Legoland in Orange County has agreed to pay hefty fines for dozens of environmental violations weeks ahead of their grand opening. The mega theme park in Goshen will pay $346,000 as part of a settlement with the state. The DEC cited Legoland for oil spills and construction runoff into the Otterkill Creek nearby. Theme park owners also agreed to an independent monitor, but environmental activists say the violations are still a concern.
This is an organization that deals with children and families, and they are jeopardizing these children and families for a financial expediency. That makes no sense to me.
A representative for Legoland says they're moving forward in compliance with all state guidelines and look forward to opening as planned. An exact date for their grand opening has not yet been announced.
We have a movie coming here with some very big names in that movie. Being shot for Netflix.
The Good Nurse will star Eddie Redmayne and Jessica Chastain in the true story of serial killer Charles Cullen. Stanford officials say major studios are no stranger to the city.
I was speaking with one of them last year, and they were sort of calling us like the Burbank of New York. And I'm like, you know, that's a great way to think of Stamford.
City officials say television production has stayed strong in Stamford throughout the pandemic. Now they say it's time to court Hollywood productions back to town.
Fortune Fire was filmed here. Of course, we still have, you know, Jerry Springer, Judge Jerry now.
Studios can receive tax breaks up to 30% for shooting in the state. Stamford's Economic Development Director, Thomas Madden, says every production that comes to town is a boost for local small business.
It really does add in quite a bit to the economy because you still need hotel rooms, you need to have catering, production services, hairstylists.
Citrola Casting put out a call last week for extras in the Stamford area. The call says there's a special need for circus performers like sword swallowers and contortionists.
So you're there on the set from 7 to 7 usually, or 8 to 8, and you get to hang out, and it's kind of fun to watch the production as it goes along.
Madden says if this shoot goes well, it won't be your last chance to get on the big screen in Stamford.
If we can get this thing to run as smoothly as it is so far, that, you know, we're going to get picked up by a few more movies that will come into the area to start shooting maybe later on this year.
Sean McCabe, News 12, Connecticut.
You hear them for miles.
They're just very loud. You hear them constantly and they fly by.
Wow, there's parrots in my backyard.
And don't get your feathers ruffled if you see these little green guys. Bird experts say they've been here since the 1960s. They are called monk parrots. And here at Seaman's Neck Park in Seaford, the parrots' giant nests made of sticks are found high and low.
Wouldn't think that I would see them around here. They're amazing. I mean, they have such nice colors. It's just weird to see them, I guess, in New York.
During quarantine, a lot of families and bike riders would stop and look at them.
Bird expert Mark Marone explains the parrots, which are native to Argentina, are highly adaptable. And hundreds are thriving right here on Long Island. He says the flocks of parrots are most likely escaped pets.
People have this urban myth of a giant truck at Kennedy Airport full of monk parrots that was backing up and the crate fell off and they escaped in one big flock. But that's not how it happened.
This is what a monk parrot or a Quaker parrot would look like and act like when they're from a pet store. But if you try to get one from the wild, they won't be like this.
The ones that are flying around would not make good pets.
They are a strange sight for sure, with their loud squawking and neon green feathers. The bottom line, these fine feathered friends are here to stay.
They're part of the Long Island environment, and just sit back and enjoy them. They're not hurting anybody or anything.
Danielle Campbell, News 12, Long Island.
So what would you think if the post office was able to deliver alcohol? And what would you think about them doing banking? Would you come here for some basic banking needs? Well, these are two of the ideas being tossed around now by consumer advocates and some U.S. senators after the post office unveiled its plan to get out of a financial hole. Last week, they unveiled a 10-year plan that included things other than alcohol and banking. Those things included slowing down mail delivery from 3 days minimum to 5 days maximum on non-local first-class mail, as well as increasing postage rates. So today I did speak with the president of the local union, the American Postal Workers Union, the local chapter here on Long Island.
The American Postal Union is not too happy with the plan because the plan is too indecisive. Number one, they want to cut back the retail hours. The retail portion of the Postal Service is people coming in through the lobby and buying the stamps. They want to close for lunch. What other business open 8 to 5 during the day closes for lunch? That's idiotic.
And the U.S. Postal Service came up with this 10-year plan because last year it's estimated the Postal Service lost $9.2 billion and is in the hole for $87 billion over the last 14 years. We are here in Farmingdale. Eileen LaPalmer.
Looking back, I really can't believe I did it.
It's been 70 years since U.S. Marine Sergeant Evelyn Kandel joined the service. And still, she has a hard time wrapping her head around how truly groundbreaking that decision was.
I look back and I realize that I am perhaps more of a trailblazer, maybe, if that doesn't sound self-serving, than I think of myself. But I guess I guess maybe I am.
It was 1951. Evelyn graduated high school but couldn't afford art school. Her aunt chimed in with a suggestion.
Do you know what I would do if I were young? I would join the service and see the world. I mean, that was like I was dumbstruck. Whoever thought of such a thing?
Evelyn enlisted in the United States Marine Corps.
Now remember, back in 1950s America, joining the military isn't something most women were doing.
I went to Parris Island and 8 weeks of being tortured. And this big, burly guy, you know, probably a staff sergeant, who said, "I will be your drill instructor. And I've been told, don't yell at the ladies. And so I won't yell at you. Damn it." And we were like, okay.
Evelyn was stationed in Washington, where the Marines soon had her modeling for a promotional campaign.
I was tall and blonde and pretty.
Here she is kissing the guys goodbye as the male Marine recruits were heading out.
Well, it was 1951, you know, come on.
She was featured on this poster that was displayed in Times Square. Oh, and she's also on a postage stamp celebrating women in the armed services. That debuted in 1952.
Loved it, loved it, loved it. I was 18 years old, you know, and I was getting lots of attention.
Eventually, Evelyn was assigned to work alongside a female lieutenant in San Francisco. They traveled to colleges on the West Coast, recruiting young women for officer training.
I found young men, young college men, to be very inappropriate. That was not pleasant. But the experience of being with this woman was a positive one. It certainly broadened my view of the world.
After the Marines, Evelyn graduated from Columbia University on the GI Bill. She married and had a family. She's now an artist and a teacher. And she told me she has recently connected with many other women who are also veterans.
I've always been proud of the time I spent in the Marines.
Creativity was abundant in Ouija Theodore's childhood in Crown Heights.
It was always around clothing and always around people that express themselves outwardly.
The Haitian American's aesthetic and inspiration for his brand, the Brooklyn Circus, heavily influenced by his mother, who died at the age of 45 in 1990.
But my mom traveled the world and bought art and bought things, you know, whether it be from Haiti or back to the States. So she had a love for culture, she had a love for people. So that for sure I adopted.
A nod to his mother featured in a new collaboration with Macy's. The numbers 1945 and 45 symbolizing both her birth and death. He partnered with the department chain in the design for Sun and Stone, a private menswear label of the store. He admits he was reluctant at first.
It's a bigger store, we're talking about multiple doors. You know, sometimes certain companies or bigger companies have an idea of how things should be. And again, sometimes they want to water down the sauce. They're like, no, it's too spicy. Oh, it's too this. But with Macy's gave us the platform.
The collaboration Icons of Style showcases Black brands, including Theodore and 4 other Black creatives from across the country to a global audience. He thinks it's important to amplify these voices.
From a consumer perspective, we were consuming, but we weren't involved in creating it, and also involved in the front-facing and being able to represent the culture.
You can check out the pieces starting Monday in stores and online. Katie Vasquez, News 12.
When the pandemic started, we was the last ones to really get the help that we need, you know, in our community. So we really need this.
A sentiment that many residents felt during the pandemic. Now, community members pushing for residents to stay safe.
We want to make sure that people know we see them. From the leaders to the residents, we see you. We're going to do what we can to make sure we get the resources to you and keep beating the drum.
The Bronx Borough President's office delivered citations and awards to leaders within the community who helped during the height of the pandemic.
We see you, we love you, we appreciate you, and keep up the good work.
NYPD Community Affairs, along with the Test and Trace Corps, attended the event and reminded residents to stay masked up.
We want to show that we care, and we're here to support everyone
with this pandemic.
Now, this event was really a one-stop shop to helping Bronx residents deal with the pandemic, from giving out these really cool care packages with face masks and hand sanitizer inside, to even helping Bronx residents book vaccine appointments. Now, this event was held all day at 6 different locations in the Bronx. We're in Mott Haven. Jericho Tran, News 12.
For the Phelan sisters, this season was their only chance for all three to play together on the Tappan Zee High School girls varsity basketball team, since their sister is a senior. But that chance was cut short when their mother says one of their teammates got a false positive on a rapid COVID-19 test.
It's over for us now. I just don't want to see what happened to them happen to other seniors and other students and athletes at our school.
Jennifer Phelan says the team made it to the championships and were about to play in their first playoff game last week when the test result caused the district to pull the plug on the game and season, even though Phelan says the student had a negative PCR test 2 hours after the rapid one.
The Board of Education wasn't listening, and then they weren't responding, which made it worse.
Phelan says their pleas to salvage the season fell on deaf ears. The Rockland County Health Department doesn't require regular testing to play school sports, but recommends it, and it's ultimately up to school districts to decide. In this case, South Orangetown Schools requires regular testing, and the Department of Health says once a result comes in, state law mandates it's treated as a true positive.
How devastating was this for you?
We probably would have had a good shot of winning it all, and it just sucks that we didn't even get a chance to play.
The family now wants the district, county, and state to consider common sense changes when it comes to COVID-19 testing in schools so that other teams and players can see their seasons through. Blaze Gomez, News 12.
Culture.
Hi, News 12. I just won The Voice.
Community.
The first shot went into the arm of Port Washington nurse Sandra Lindsay.
Connections.
Seems like so much fun.
It was pretty hectic.
Discover News 12 New York.
Hey, look, we're happy, right?
A new way to see the best of News 12's local channels from across the tri-state area, all in one place. Now streaming 24/7 on your favorite devices. Discover News 12 New York today.